Hey guys, wanted to talk about leaf shape a little bit today and explain some of the terminology and how to go about identifying leaves. It's one of the most important things to know when you want to identify a plant, so it's helpful to understand some of the terminology associated with it. Like a lot of science and especially biology, there's a lot of Latin words. Some of these things you kind of see in different places. That's because they describe something and is useful in multiple different settings. So, just something to pay attention to when you see it. The two main ways that I use leaf shape terminology are the overall shape and the margin. Using this picture file from Wikimedia. I'll put a link in the description so you can reference it. The other thing that's on here is venation, which I don't go into as much detail about venation typically when I talk about it as this graphic does. So I'm going to not be talking about that. So when it comes to a leaf on a plant, there's typically two main parts if you want to keep it really simple. The petiole is this little stalk that holds the leaf to the stem, kind of holds it up. It's called the petiole. And then this big, wide, typically wide, flat part, typically flat, is called the blade. And there's more, you can break it down a lot more complex than that, but I try to keep it simple. Petiole, blade. So what's the shape of the blade? And what does the edge look like? So we'll start with there. It's called margin. The edge of the leaf is the margin, and depending on what type of plant it is, it'll have different appearance to it. So some leaves are entire, meaning completely smooth edge. Some are dentate, which is Latin for teeth, so tooth shaped. Some are serrate, which means saw, so kind of shaped like the teeth on a saw with forward pointing teeth. And then there's also doubly serrate if there's little teeth on the big teeth. Denticulate is little teeth, fine dentition. And then you have lobate, kind of sweeping, looping curves. Sinuate, little waves. Spiny, little spines. Undulate, large, undulating waves. Serrulate, fine serration. Crenate is kind of wavy, more like blobby, like a cloud, a cartoon cloud. Ciliate hairs, and that's all the ones that are on here. There's others, but those are the most common. And then you also want to look at the overall shape of the leaf. What is it shaped like? And these are also mostly Latin, a lot of them. Cordate, so that's from the word meaning heart. So heart-shaped, if it kind of is pointing at the bottom and then points in at the top, or the tip and the base, I should say. Cuneate, wedge-shaped. Deltoid, triangle. Ovate, like an egg. And I'm not going to go through the whole list, but you can see there's quite a lot of different shapes that leaves can come in. You'll get used to the more common ones as you identify different leaves out in nature. And one more disclaimer that I wanted to mention about leaf shape is a lot of times when you're looking at actual leaves on plants out in nature, they don't look quite as perfect as these, right? It might be kind of a little lopsided. It might be some leaves are a little squatter, some are thinner, longer. So obviously you have to kind of use your judgment as to what you think it is. Same thing with margin. The margin is not going to look exactly like this, perfect, right? There's not three little teeth on every tooth necessarily for doubly serrate. That's just kind of a typical example. So go out and look at some leaves, practice, and the more you see and the more you use this terminology, the easier it will be. I wouldn't recommend that you go through and memorize all of these necessarily. Just use a reference like this, and then the more you use them, they'll become familiar and you won't have to memorize them because you'll just know them. And depending on where you live, you might have some of these shapes, but not all, because that's just the way plants are distributed. So I hope that helps, and check back for more science info. Have a good day.